This is MEDDPICC Deep Dive, an 8-part series where I outline how I use MEDDPICC as a map to navigate my deals using real-world examples. This is part 2, economic buyer. Understanding the economic buyer in your deals is very important for lots of reasons. First off, your champion and everyone that sits under them is going to be influenced by the economic buyer. If you think about your team, and if there was someone in the senior leadership team who everyone was aware felt really strongly about an idea, whether they loved it or hated it, it's going to influence the way that the rest of the team perceive it. Secondly, the buck stops with somebody. At the end of the day, somebody has to either approve the deal or physically sign the deal, and that is going to be your economic buyer. An economic buyer can and will shut down a deal. I think it's probably rare for most salespeople to have not had a deal that's been completely blocked by someone in the senior leadership team. It can happen, and it does happen, so you need to make sure that you factored it in. When it comes to economic buyers, it is almost always a CEO, a CFO, or an MD, if it's maybe a smaller organization. Sometimes I hear people talking about maybe management or directors of a particular department being their economic buyer, and that's unlikely to be the case. There is going to be someone above them who can, veto what they're looking to do. So typically it's going to be a CEO or CFO. Those types of people are unlikely to be involved in the early to mid stages of your deal. A great way to bridge that gap and to mitigate against that is to have really strong and influential champions that are going to enable you to get indirectly in contact with those C-suites early in the deals and have the power to bring them directly into the conversation when it's relevant, typically at the later stages. So the first kind of question that I like to ask around the topic of economic buyers is by using the name of those individuals once I've mapped that out to say something along the lines of, hey, I've noticed Julia leads the team globally at the moment. Is she aware of these challenges that we've just spoken about, or does she have focuses elsewhere? So what I'm doing there is kind of demonstrating I've got a bit of a potential understanding of the team, and then allowing my prospect or champion to come back to me to say, hey, yeah, actually, she is really aware of these, and these are the reasons why, and it kind of points things in a nice fruitful direction. Alternatively, they can say, hey, actually, no, it's not Julia, she's not relevant here, it's actually somebody else, and then you can kind of direct it there. A second question that I like to ask is, what are the kind of key communications that you get down from your CEO? Or sometimes I'll frame it to say, when you're on your big town halls and the C-suite are talking to the rest of the team about the company, what are the things that they're always talking about? What are the things that come up time and time again, those kind of typical themes? Again, it kind of helps you get that inside scoop and is starting to get you around what's in the mind of the C-suite, what are they caring about, what's the direction they want to take the company, what are the key goals that they're after. And then the third thing is kind of in the context of when you're potentially building a business case, when you've spent time, with your champion, uncovering what they care about, their pains and challenges, but then simply asking, okay, great, this is really good to understand. I'm curious, what does your CEO care about? Or when we're presenting this internally, what's going to resonate with them? So kind of taking all the work that you've done up to now and then sort of reframing it and thinking about, cool, when the C-suite look at this, how are they going to perceive it? What's actually going to be a higher priority than this? So in summary, all of your deals are going to have an economic buyer, someone who the buck stops with. They're either going to be able to approve or potentially completely shut down and reject your business case. So it's important to have them in mind and try and factor them into the equation as soon as you can. An economic buyer is almost always going to be a CEO, a CFO, or an MD or an owner of the business. It's rare that it's going to be management level or a director of a particular department. A really effective way to bridge the gap to the top of that tree is by building and developing really strong and influential champions who are going to be willing but also able to get you in communications with them, gather the inside scoop, and hopefully get you in front of them when the moment's right, typically towards the end of the deal. Feel free to connect with me for part 3 of the MEDDPICC Deep Dive, which is going to be on decision process.